Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Cryptids of the Week video. Thought I would mix another one of these in while I go ahead and start the Mafia and Gangster series soon. This one again based on just a random page, something that I brought up there on the cryptids.wiki.com website. And interestingly enough, it brought me back to a cryptid that I talked about a couple of years back. Very popular cryptid, the Dover Demon, that according to my YouTube channel information shows that I talked about it in April 2014. Well, this particular entry is a cousin of it, a Canadian cousin, no less. So while we have the Dover Demon here in the US, in this case, though, this cryptid is going to be there in Canada. Both of them share very similar characteristics, just slight changes between the two. They could actually be one and the same if for the fact that we don't have much to study on to truly compare them to. But it has to do with this. You're looking at it now. It is known as the Mannegishi. So let's go ahead and let's talk about all the information associated with this Canadian cousin of the Dover Demon. So what is this Mannegishi? Well, again, it's a cryptid that's found up north there in Canada. Very, very foresty parts of Canada specifically, and also parts filled with caves. This is a cryptid that when you look at it, just as right now, for example, it looks like a person almost, but very emaciated in some cases, and in other cases smaller, like a smaller person. And I think you could probably throw in that it looks much like a gray alien. A lot of characteristics that match, in other words, with the Dover Demon. And the way it's described is as followed. It's a small human-like entity, very slender arms and legs. Again, very, very slender, totally just emaciated. And at the tip of each of its hands and its legs, it has 6 digits. And then also what greatly stands out about this cryptid is, of course, its very large head, far larger in this case, as it should be, than in proportion to its rest of its body. Its big eyes, and then also there's no discernible nose or mouth. So that also stands out too. Now, if you're wondering, well, how can this cryptid actually survive if it seems to have no discernible mouth or nose? But the idea is this, that it truly does breathe, but it breathes more on the lines of like an amphibian, where there's water that can go through its skin, and then when that happens, it takes the oxygen from the water, and then that's how essentially it stays alive. So very interesting when you think about it, because here you have this cryptid that could be just completely aquatic based. In fact, that's the going theory of this creature. It lives in those caves, it lives in those foresty areas, but it does so near very large or small bodies of water, and then that way it can just live through that particular area as long as it can. And in fact, it's been known to spend much of its time in dams. So if you're ever there in the Canadian areas and you suspect that you have something in terms of a location near one of these Mannegishi, if you see a dam near a river in particular, then you are in a closer area, a suspected area of this thing. And then also what makes it very unique is the fact that it's known to be a trickster, a mischievous trickster too. Maybe it likes having attention brought to itself, or maybe it likes playing like little scary games with people. You can imagine being out there in the forests or near those caves, and as you do so, you wouldn't suspect something would be out there with you at the same time, but there it is, probably throwing rocks, making noise, just something along the lines that it's not going to hurt you, it's not going to harm or kill you, but it's still just there to try to play some kind of tricks to you. Nothing that I read as far as it like essentially being pretty bad in terms of that stuff, but still it's out there playing tricks. Another interesting thing though about this creature is its intelligence. That large bulbous head can point to that fact, because apparently it can use rocks and other forms of crafting tools to create these pictographs right into stone. So much like a modern caveman of sorts, it can take those dwellings that it lives in, those caves nearby the rivers, nearby the streams, and you'll know that you're in the vicinity of a Mannegishi if you start seeing what looks to be like these crude carvings, something involving like these pictographs, something that's there that you know is not supposed to be there. Nobody would be living in and around this vicinity, but these look fresh, these look new, and they look to have been done by something that uses this as its residence. So if you see that, then you are definitely in the near circumstance of this Mannegishi. But yes, as far as other things that stand out, there is a more localized form of the Mannegishi, the Toronto tunnel monster. This is something that there in Toronto specifically, something there seems to be running through the sewers, running through the tunnel systems. I think I've even seen a video of it before, one of those that passes around Facebook every now and then, and it showcases this creature, a camera in essence, that is going through the tunnels, and it showcases this creature with these two large eyes peeking around the corner of one of those twists and turns within the tunnel. And as it does so, it looks at the camera, no doubt out of curiosity, wondering what's going on. But if you wanted a more localized version of, in this case, this Mannegishi, then you would go here to the Toronto tunnel monster. I think I'm going to save that info though for another video, since in that case it's much more specialized. But yes, that's another instance of encounters with it. One other interesting twist with this Mannegishi. So previously I was telling you earlier that it's that a small, slender base, its skin is more amphibian because it can use the water to absorb oxygen. On another extreme, there's another version of the Mannegishi where its skin is actually very, very hairy. I don't know if this is like almost like Bigfoot type hairy, but it's supposed to be a complete difference from a smooth amphibian skin to something just being very, very hairy. And instead of having a very large bulbous face, it has in this case a narrow face. And you would know you're in the vicinity of one of these things because instead of, say, finding those carvings I was mentioning earlier, no, in this case you'll start hearing this whine, something that creates its presence around you. And it's supposed to be, this is sounding curious, the whine of a dragonfly. I had no idea a dragonfly make noises. Closest thing I think of is, of course, those wings whenever they create that large sounding buzz as they fly through the air. Then maybe that's something that it relates to. If someone else can point out, like, do dragonflies truly make some other sound, something else that's very distinctive, that when you hear it you immediately think, oh, it's a dragonfly. So I'm wondering if there is truly a sound like that. But yes, that's supposedly what this Mannegishi does, what it makes whenever you're within that version of it. So again, pretty extreme, hairy, narrow face, and the whine of a dragonfly. But that's it. That's pretty much all the info associated with this Canadian cryptid. Anybody up there from the northern lands? Anybody happen to know any other tales, any encounters, any other specific spots that happen to have dwellings of the Mannegishi? Please post those comments below. That'd be great to hear. And yeah, I think I'll do the other one here later on, the Toronto tunnel monster, as yet another version of this cryptid. So again, you have the Dober demon, then this Mannegishi, and then quite possibly the Toronto tunnel monster, all being one of the same or different versions, different cousins of each other. So alright everybody, thanks again as always. Take care.